All right, guys, let's try this podcast again. Sadly, this is take 2 of the podcast. I basically recorded this entire podcast, but had some technical issues, and so have to re-record it. At least it's by myself, and I don't have to have somebody else jump back on and be part of this podcast again. But we'll try this again and see how this goes. But guys, there's a lot going on, and I'm excited to be able to be on the podcast. Like I said, I'll be by myself today. So you guys are stuck listening to me for the entirety of this podcast. But I wanted to talk about a few things that have happened lately that are big deals. And probably by the time this podcast comes out, some of this may be maybe not old data, but still very relevant and applicable to what's going on as we close out 2024. So I've got a couple cool podcasts coming up. I'm actually going to be going to Colorado pretty soon, and excited to go out there and spend some time with my buddy Chad. You guys have seen him on the channel quite a bit. He's been on the podcast quite a bit, and we're going to record a podcast out there, hopefully in his new man cave. He built a new man cave out there, and we're going to go out there. Well, he's always out there, but I'm going to go out there and check it out, and hopefully he's got all of his mounts in there and everything is ready to go, so that when we do video that podcast, you guys can watch it and check out the new digs for Chad. He's spoiled rotten. So looking forward to that one. Got a couple other really cool ones coming up. So excited to have more of these podcasts going. But and sorry, I've been getting a little bit of an illness lately, and so I apologize if I have to clear out my throat a couple times during this podcast. But before I get into the meat of the podcast, I do want to start off. If you guys haven't checked out Phorm, you guys have probably seen it on all of our social media pages and whatnot. So and also I did the podcast with them. But man, guys, I am really loving it. And I'm going to talk a little bit more at the end about some of the changes that I've made recently and the impact that it's made in my life for the better, which has been really cool. And so I'll talk more about that, but I got big thanks to what the improvements that I'm making to Phorm, the products that I've been taking, and not only the supplements, but helping out. I guess it is still a supplement, but with like my running, I've been using some of their stuff for running. I'll talk more about these things in detail at the end of the podcast. So if you're interested in that, check that out. I've lost a significant amount of weight over the last little bit, which has been huge for me. I got up to the heaviest I've ever been in my life, which I'm not a big guy, but I got up pretty heavy for me. And so with the help of Phorm and some of the cool things, like I said, the supplements, but then also the app and other things that have helped me kind of just change my life. But I've also tried a different quote unquote diet, for lack of better words. I've switched over to the carnivore diet. I'm going to talk more about that, like I said, at the end of this podcast, and kind of let you guys know what I've been doing personally. And if you guys are interested in that, stay tuned, and I'm going to talk more about that. Like I said, I did that podcast about the Phorm stuff and kind of that transition and started into it. But man, I've had some really good time with it now, and a lot of really good experiences with it, and have seen such a drastic change in myself. So anyways, stay tuned for that. But I wanted to start off this podcast. Well, I really wanted the majority of this podcast to be about some of the stuff, the news that has gone on. If you guys haven't been on the website, make sure you go into the website, EHUNTR.com, EHUNTR.com. Checking that out, put and post up quite frequently about some of the stuff going on. And so I'm going to kind of pull it up here so that I don't lose track and you guys don't wonder where I'm going with all this. Going to try and keep it pretty relevant to what's going on. And actually, even before I get to that, something that we didn't put up on the podcast, up on the website, but something that's really big, something that's happened lately, is obviously the elections. So the elections were this week, and that was a big win for us as hunters on many levels, honestly, not just the presidential race, but also other races that were taking place, as well as other legislation that took place during this election cycle. And so, I mean, first and foremost, we'll talk about the president, which is a huge win for us as hunters and as gun owners. I was honestly really nervous about what would happen if Trump didn't get in as president. And, if you guys follow us on social media, you'll have seen I posted quite a bit of stuff prior to the election. I normally don't. I normally don't get too crazy. I follow politics pretty closely, but I don't get too crazy about posting stuff. But this was a big deal for us. Had he not won, I can only imagine the impact that it would have had on us as hunters. Agree or disagree out there, but I feel like the impact that he will have for us for the better is going to be advantageous to us as hunters. And like I said, adding as gun owners, I get it. Kamala said that she wasn't going to take away our guns or anything like that, but yet in another sentence, she's saying that she's going to ban ARs and stuff like that. So it really is a slippery slope. And I think if they get their way on one thing, and we're going to talk more about that, but if they get their way on one thing, it's just going to continue to cycle. It's going to snowball to the point that it really would impact us as hunters. And so, the night of the election, we had a kind of a little bit of a watch party at my house, and it was a lot of fun. And ultimately, the night went very well, and was just super stoked at Trump winning. And again, agree or disagree, I would imagine most of the people listening to this podcast are probably thinking along the same lines as I am. But I know, I get it. There's some out there that don't, and I get it. But just looking at it from a hunting standpoint, which that's what this podcast is all about, and our platform is all about, is this was a huge win for us from a lot of different levels. I'm excited about the cabinet members that he's talked about. We'll see if he actually puts them in, but like RFK, I think he's going to be awesome from a health standpoint. I wonder if Trump really will put him in as that, but we'll see. But then he's had a bunch of other people with him. Elon Musk has been with him. Tulsi Gabbard. These people support the way that we live and the way that we believe, and so I think having them on our side, on our team, and having Trump be the leader of that. Now, do I think Trump's perfect? No, absolutely not. But I think him leading the charge will go a long way for the life that we like to live, that we want to live, and honestly, that we need. As much as the Democrats don't believe it, it is the right way. And so I didn't want to make this podcast all about Trump, but it is a huge win for us as hunters, and so I'd love to know your guys' thoughts on that. Are you excited that Trump won? Are you concerned about it? Leave a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts, guys. I answer every single comment that's put up, and so would love to interact with you guys more. So on any of this stuff that I'm talking about today, would love to know your opinions. So there's some other great wins throughout the country. They're still kind of going through the House seats. That hasn't been finalized yet, but the Republican Party obviously has the presidential seat, and then they also have the Senate, or the Senate majority, which I think is going to go a long ways for passing the laws and bills that we need as a country that's going to better suit us from a conservative standpoint, which I think that is huge. We absolutely need that. This country, man, it's gone such the wrong way the last 4 years, and from whether it's from an economy standpoint, from a healthcare standpoint, from a foreign policy standpoint, pretty much all of it's gone in the wrong direction. So to be able to see it turn around a little bit, have Trump in there, it's gonna be freaking awesome. So super stoked about that. And as a business owner, I know a lot of you guys out there are business owners, whether it be a small business or a large business, but for us as business owners, I think it's going to be a really big deal with some of the things that he has talked about and different policies that he wants to put in place. But at the end of the day, he wants to make America rich again, to make another MAGA statement. But it really is an opportunity for the United States to be rich again and for us to be prosperous. So as a business owner, I'm really excited about the opportunities that are ahead of us. Another big legislation that went through was that Proposition 127 in Colorado. If you haven't heard of it, you've probably been living under a rock. I mean, it's been talked about by everybody in the hunting industry. And honestly, guys, I was so nervous as the night started. Excuse me. I had the presidential election up on my TV, and then on my iPad, I had the Proposition 127 just to see what it was going to do. So if you guys aren't familiar with Proposition 127, a couple of real quick things. Make sure you're following howl.org. That's HOWL.org. They do a lot of really good stuff when it comes to legislation in the hunting world. I've had them on the podcast, so go and check out that episode. But man, go and support them. Great cause. I love what they're doing and can get behind them. They're keeping us as hunters informed. We do the best that we can on our website, but our website's not all about legislation and bills and things like that, whereas that's really what they're focused on is getting the hunter's voice heard from a legislation standpoint. And so make sure that you're following them. But they had a lot of stuff on this Proposition 127. But basically what it was they were trying to ban the hunting of mountain lions, bobcats, and lynx. And kind of going back to what I said about, the guns thing, is they really were trying to do something sneaky here. They were trying to start there, and then it's going to just snowball into other things. It is a slippery slope. I use that term a lot, but it really is, because they start with that, and then before you know it, they're changing big game, and they're changing these other things that we're hunting to ultimately just get rid of hunting. That's what they really want to do, and I can't understand why. I mean, I don't know. We've been hunting as human beings since the beginning, and that's how we live. It takes life to have life. And so it doesn't make any sense to me that they want to get rid of it, other than it's just a control factor. And so when the night started on Tuesday, I was getting so nervous because Proposition 127 was a yes for a long time. And by a big margin, when I first opened it up and looked at it, I was like, oh my gosh, are you freaking Colorado? We're going to do this again, just like we did with the wolves? Because the wolf thing has turned out to be a cluster. And I was like, oh man, they're going to do this. This is going to happen. And before too long, Colorado is not going to have any hunting. And I mean, it's disappointed me a lot over there. But as the night went on, I saw the numbers, that gap start to narrow as it went on. And I kind of thought, I thought probably that would probably happen because, the liberals in Denver, Boulder, or wherever, are probably going to get out there and vote earlier on about it. And then the rural ones, which that's usually how it goes, Republicans usually vote later in the day and whatnot. And so some of the votes started coming in later, and those rural areas started to submit their votes. And so that gap started to get more and more narrow. And I remember I was sitting there watching it, and nobody else in the room really cared about it but me, or as much as I did. And once it finally, switched and it was more no than yes, I was like, all right, we're really doing this. And then it just kept going. So ultimately, Colorado, you voted no for Proposition 127. Thank you so much for doing that. Not that I've ever hunted mountain lions, bobcats, or lynx in Colorado, but again, it's that slippery slope. It's what it probably would get to if that was to be approved. So gave me some faith in Colorado, the people in Colorado. I don't know. I'm excited about it. I'm glad that it went the way that it did. All in all, the entire election went the way that, it couldn't have gone any better, honestly. I guess there's probably a few Senate House seats that I feel like really could have gone a little bit differently, but, and even government seats or governor seats, I wish probably, or I kind of hoped would have went differently. But all in all, it really was a win for us as hunters. So that's fresh on the brain. I wanted to talk about that and just celebrate that. I'm hoping that you guys are feeling the same way. And again, if you are or not, leave a comment down below. Love to hear from you guys on the topic. Again, by the time this podcast comes out, it may be old news, and Trump may have already have his cabinet seats put in place. Who knows? But definitely going to stick close to it and see what happens. But honestly, I wake up now with a little bit of joy, a little bit of relief in my body that we're gonna be okay. We're really gonna be okay, at least for the next 4 years, and hopefully we continue to move this forward. So that's obviously the big news that's happening right now. If you haven't been on the website, been a few other things going on that have happened a lot here in Utah, and so let's see. Just a couple things I'll bounce through real quick is the Utah DWR is encouraging everybody to have their deer checked this year for different diseases, CWD, all that. And so we put that up there just to encourage people to do that. It's not a requirement. You don't have to do that. But and really we're kind of the end of hunts in Utah anyways. But, there's a couple other hunts, cow elk hunts that are still coming up, some late season hunts that are still coming up. And so if you have one of those tags, they are encouraging you to get those checked, and be curious. If you guys already harvested a deer this year, did you get it checked? And what were the results? Jaden harvested a deer. I'm going to save that story for when I'm with Chad, because we're going to kind of do 2024 hunting recap. And so I'll share that story on that podcast. But Jaden shot a deer, my son. He's 14. Shot it, or not yet 14. He turns 14. Oh gosh, is it next week? Holy cow, dude's making me old. But shot his first deer. We didn't get it checked. I'm not too concerned about it. There are some proposed changes in Utah to big game hunting, really towards the monitoring of the deer populations and some of the things that they want to change. And so that article's up on the website. Check it out. Especially if you're a Utah hunter, you really want to know what's going on. That's a really big article to have, and to check out some of those changes. Again, they're just proposed changes at this point. There's been talk of some of the things like 4-point or better units, and some of the units are units like close to home where I've hunted a lot in my life, and I can see the good and the bad of it. I like the idea of 4-point or better because it's going to increase the age class. It's probably going to increase the buck to doe ratio. So I like it from that standpoint, but then there's also the opportunity standpoint. For example, Jaden, these kids or people that haven't hunted a lot, it may be tough for them because they may not know how to get a bigger deer. And so, but you also want to give them, some support and help them, have a success with hunting. And that may be a 2 or 3 point. And so I as a seasoned hunter, I'm like, yeah, this is great. Let's do that. It's all 4-point or better. Fantastic. But I can also see the argument for not having it. So I'd love to know your guys' thoughts on that. Actually, again, leave me a comment below. Let me know what your thoughts are on that. If you feel like it's a good idea to have a 4-point or better unit, or some of the units, or all the units, or should it be more just just kind of how it is, where any buck goes. So there's also some big changes in Colorado. So now that this is passed, obviously the Proposition 127 isn't a big change, but there are some big changes to some of the hunting in Colorado. Let me get this pulled up here. It's been a minute since I've looked at it, because this article went up earlier in October. But there are making some changes that would impact us as non-resident, so especially non-resident archery elk hunters. And this really kind of bothers me. I'm sure if you're a resident of Colorado, you're like, yeah, I support this. For non-resident, I love archery hunting, and it's a way I can go hunt with my friends in Colorado. So, but it sounds like they're not gonna have over-the-counter archery tags for non-residents, which really kind of sucks because that takes away a lot of the opportunities. So now we have to go into the draw. And again, you have to have a lot of points as a non-resident to draw a lot of the tags, at least that I want. And so it's going to cause a little bit of trouble there. A couple other changes that they're making is maybe changing some season dates. So Colorado's always kind of done that, right? I feel like they're always moving these dates around and trying to make it better, and it gets worse, or trying to make it, trying to correct it, and it does a little bit, but I feel like they're always moving. It's like a moving target all the time. So I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but go ahead and go to EHUNTR.com, check out that website or that article, and familiarize yourself. If you're a hunter in Colorado, whether you live in Colorado, or especially if you're a non-resident of Colorado that likes to go there, make sure and check that out. There's some really important stuff in there for you as a Colorado hunter. And then the last thing I will say is that coming up real quick is the Utah Sportsman Tag Draw. So you have to be a resident of Utah for this. So it's only applicable to people that are residents of Utah. But they have the Sportsman's Tag. It's a bunch of different big game species that you can hunt, and you get the entire year to hunt it. And so it's a pretty unique tag that they give, but it's awesome. It's a pretty cool thing. I guess I think it is. I've never had it. But again, this is just for Utah residents only. The date on it is November 13th. Actually, it's going to be the day before that. The results will be announced on November 13th. So make sure that if you're a Utah resident interested in those sportsman's tags, get put in. Don't miss that deadline. Hopefully I get this out before that deadline. Oh man, I might have just said that, and this podcast might come out after that. So if it is, I apologize. So anyways, that's some of the news going on in the hunting world. Hopefully you guys are staying up to speed on all of that. Again, check out the website frequently, making sure you're staying on top of all the articles. We definitely lowered the number of articles going on the website. We had a couple of comments come in about, some of the articles really weren't relevant, not relevant, but probably could be more of a Facebook post than an article, which I agreed with, wholeheartedly. And so definitely only putting up the articles that really mean a lot, that impact us as hunters significantly. I had one guy that's like, why are all your articles about poaching? Because we had a ton of articles about poaching in different states, and it just happens all the time. So those articles kind of get fed up there quite a bit, but we're not going to be, if it's relevant and something significant, we'll still post those poaching articles, but for the most part, no, it'll just be major articles that are, relevant and impactful to us as hunters, stuff that we really, really need to know. But also you'll see our how-tos, our product reviews, stuff like that on there. So make sure you're just going to the website frequently. I would go there every day just to make sure you're up to speed on everything that's going on in the hunting world. So I'm going to try and keep this podcast short and sweet, but I promised in the beginning that I'd talk about some of the first Phorm stuff. So if you're still with me, this is going to be really cool. I think this is something that you guys will really enjoy. We're coming into the off season for hunting, although that's really not true. I'm hoping that Chad and I get to go to Arizona. We're going to Arizona in January, so I guess I shouldn't say hope. We're just making sure everything falls in line and whatnot. So we're not too far away from our next hunt. But as we come into the off season for hunting, a lot of people get a little bit lackadaisical when it comes to their fitness and health, and plus it's winter time and it's hard to get out and work or work out. It's hard to get out and hike around. But don't let that be an excuse for you as you go forward and as we go into these winter months. Take advantage of the time, whatever you got to do inside. And so I'm going to tell you a little bit about what I've done over the last little bit that's really helped me. It hasn't been because I've been running a lot more or lifting weights a lot more or anything like that. It really is truly a bit of a lifestyle change with the help of First Phorm. So like I said in the beginning, I started this carnivore diet, and I've been doing it for about a month now. And I did it because there's another podcast that talked about it a lot. Joe Rogan has talked about it a lot. There's been quite a few people that have talked about it. And so I started doing this carnivore diet. And I also got to give credit to my wife. She's been doing this kind of an elimination type diet. And, misery loves company. So while she's suffering through that, I was like, I probably ought to do something myself. And I'm not a diet guy. I'm a fat kid. I like food. I like eating whatever I want to eat. And I always figure, well, I can eat and I'll just run it off. Well, as I get older, that's not really the case. I've got to be careful about what I eat. And so looking at diets, like there's all sorts of different diets, the Mediterranean diet and the paleo and keto and all these other diets that are out there. And I really didn't like hardly any of them. But as I studied the carnivore diet, I was like, this could work. Now I'm going to have to make some changes because, I do need some pre-workout for my runs and lifting and stuff like that. I do want to continue to use protein powder to meet my protein goal for the day. Just a few other things that I'm like, I've still got to have some of this, but I feel like I can, switch over to this carnivore diet and be able to really, enjoy it and hopefully have some health benefits from it. So again, I'm only a month into it, and it's been great. Honestly, I immediately, as soon as I started noticing the weight just shedding off of me. And again, I was at the heaviest I've ever been in my life, and now, a month into it, I've lost 13 pounds in a month, and it's been great. And I feel like I've lost the weight in a healthy way. Like you can starve yourself and lose a lot of weight, but it's not really a healthy way. I feel like I've done it, and actually the performance has improved. And I'll probably get a lot of credit of that to the First Phorm. So if you guys know me personally, I love caffeine. I'm always got an energy drink here. And as I talked about in another podcast, First Phorm has their energy drinks. It's a 0 calories, 0 sugar energy drink. I'm not going as crazy as I was on them. I was drinking 2 of those things a day, and I've gone way down. I'm about a half a can a day. Some days I'll do a full can, but most days it's just half a can just to give me that little caffeine, that little pick me up. Again, that's not carnivore. So if you're looking for like strict carnivore, you can't be doing that. You can't do really any of the first form stuff other than the meat sticks. You can do the meat sticks because that's meat. But pretty much everything else, I shouldn't even say that. The electrolytes, you can do the electrolytes as well. It's one thing that you kind of have to have on the carnivore diet is a little bit of electrolytes just to help kind of support things. I use a lot of salt in my food, but for the most part, it's I'll take some electrolytes to be able to just supplement the animal products that I'm eating. But the cool thing about it is, I get to eat as much bacon as I want. I love bacon, eggs, steak, cheese, all those things, raw milk, I guess not. That's another thing is I haven't been doing the raw milk. I've been doing whole milk. It's again, not completely carnivore, but it's still milk, still an animal product. So I've kind of justified that a little bit. So really enjoyed it, but been adding in the energy drinks from First Phorm. I'm really loving the Screamin' Freedom one. It's the one that the P looks like an American flag. It's definitely my favorite one out of the options that they have. And I'll leave links to this stuff below. And if you guys want to support the channel, support me, go and click those, find something that you like, try it out. Let me know your thoughts on it. One thing I've really loved about First Phorm is, we have these products and I get to be part of the First Phorm, program, but they really invest a lot in us, as their ambassadors, and they do a lot of education with us. I've learned so much in the last month about supplementation and nutrition and exercise and stuff like that. And I'm a nurse, I really focus on that stuff. Health is my life, but I've actually learned a lot. We do weekly calls with them and have multiple interactions throughout the week with education. And so if you're looking to do something, looking to find something, I'll admit I'm kind of becoming an expert on this stuff, which is really cool. So if you guys have any questions, that's really, I started out this whole thing like I want them to be part of the podcast, and kind of like what you always look for with a partner, with a advertising partner. But this has become so much more. They've truly become a partner for me, and something that is allowing me to not only help myself but be able to help other people. And that's kind of really what I want to do with this is help other people. I'm having really good results, so I want to help other people have those results. So I think that some of the products that have really helped me as I've been doing this carnivore diet. Like I said, I've been doing the energy drinks just to keep the caffeine addiction there, or at bay, I guess I should say. Keep the headaches away. I need to get rid of it completely, but I do love those drinks. And honestly, it's my little bit of a treat during the day. And I think we need that. It's a 0 carb, 0 sugar treat. Probably not the worst thing in the world. And then, around my workouts, I've been doing quite a few things. So I do my pre-workout, and also I consider my pre-workout and my intro workout drink. So it's called the Enduraformance. I have loved it. It tastes good for one, but then it's a non-stimulant pre-workout. So it doesn't like make you jittery or crazy or anything like that. It does have beta alanine. So, I talked about that with Josh with, Deadshot, but I actually haven't had like the crawling skin feeling from it. But it does give me like the energy and whatnot. But the reason I use it pre and during my workout is because it actually lowers my heart rate. And when my heart rate lowers when I'm running, it allows me to push a little bit harder. So when I look down at my Garmin and I'm like, man, my heart rate's only 140, I can push harder. So I'll push and go a little bit faster. And it's awesome. Like I feel like I can push harder without hurting myself, and from a physical systemic standpoint. So I have loved that stuff. I don't know how it makes my heart rate lower, but it definitely works really well for that. It gives me the energy. And then I also feel like it gives me the endurance. Like that, the energy isn't just like a caffeine spike. It's a long-term energy that goes throughout the entire run, which has been really, really nice. I've been running a little bit extra in the mornings just to get more miles in during the day. And man, it's helped me immensely as I've been doing that. And then post-workout, I've been doing the protein, the Formula 1 protein. and I just mix it with either milk or water. I don't put anything else in it, just to try to keep it as carnivore as possible. And man, it does a great job of helping me recover from the workout, the run, and helping me, be ready for the next day. Also, it helps me get to my protein goal. That's one thing, guys. I don't know how many of you guys pay attention to how much protein you need in a day, but man, we need a lot of protein, and obviously weighing more, you need more protein. And trying to get that in a day is pretty tough, even when all you're eating is meat. Like when I wake up in the morning, I have, sausage and eggs, or meat, bacon and eggs. At lunch, I'm having like hamburger patties with cheese and eggs and, whatever else I can have. So trying to mix in more things that give me more protein. You get a lot more protein to calorie number, which is really good. So my calories have been down significantly. Trying to hit my calorie goal through the day is almost as hard as hitting my protein goal. But high protein, high fat, and getting your body into that ketosis so that your body's burning the fat and not trying to rely on carbs to give you the energy. And man, it's interesting. You can feel your body switch from using carbs and sugars for energy to fat for energy, and it's a different kind of feeling. It's more of a long-term, like it's not a spike of energy. It's just kind of a steady energy, which is really cool. And I also feel like, there's other things that this carnivore diet has helped me with. And it might be a little bit of, there's creatine in that endurance, and I'm also taking the collagen as well. And so those things definitely apply to this, but like joints are feeling better, which that might be because I don't have any sugar in my body. And, sugar obviously causes inflammation in your joints. And when you have inflammation in your joints, they hurt. And so not having the sugar and whatnot in my body has definitely made it so that I don't have the inflammation. And so my joints are feeling better. In fact, my knee was hurting. I got a brace for my knee, and I really don't even need it anymore. I'll run with it once in a while just to give it a little extra support. But I feel like I've been able to reduce the pain in my knee, feel like I'm supporting my knee more, and really all my joints feel better. I've had back pain in the past, and I feel like my back pain has gotten better, and I can move around a little bit better. So all in all, I want to share this with you guys just so that you can hear my story of what I'm doing. And as we go into this break of hunting, we may not be out in the mountains, we may not be hiking, we may not be getting the exercise that we need, but we can still stay diligent to our diets and ourselves. And I highly recommend looking at a diet that works for you, getting rid of those sugars, getting rid of those carbs that are really going to basically kind of weigh you down or bring your weight up, I guess, and leaning more towards a cleaner diet and using some of these supplements. And if you guys have questions about Phorm stuff, I mentioned a few, but I've been using quite a few of them. I've been educated on a lot of them, and so I can really help you guys if there's something that you really feel like you need. And so reach out, leave a comment. Like I said, I answer every single comment that you guys put in there. So if you have a comment, question about something, I'm happy to answer those questions. So we're getting about 30 minutes into this podcast. Like I said, I wanted to keep it pretty quick, but be on the lookout. We got a couple good podcasts coming up. Like I said, I'm headed to Colorado. I'll do one with Chad while I'm out there. That'll be fun. It'll be a little bit unique and a little bit more informal. But super excited to do it, and super excited to get more of these podcasts out. Got some videos coming up on the YouTube channel. So I got Chad's Wyoming elk hunt as well as his Colorado elk hunt. He's been gracious enough to give me the footage for those to be able to put it up on the EHUNTR channel. So super excited to get those finalized. I've still got some work to do on the Wyoming one, and I barely started the Colorado one. So, working on getting those done, but I'll get those out as soon as I can. But make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel. I appreciate you guys supporting me on there. That's a big deal for me. Please, 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 if you would, share it with your friends and family. Get them to subscribe. The more that we can get, the better. It goes a long ways for me as a content creator, if that's what you want to call it. But as a podcaster and a YouTuber, it really helps a ton. You guys may not even understand how much it helps. So appreciate you guys. Again, if you want to support the channel, if you want to support me here at EHUNTR, click the links below. Look at Phorm, find you some stuff. If you go to opticsplanet.com, use the code EHUNTR. That'll save you some money there at opticsplanet.com. There are probably some things that you feel like you need after the season. Optics Planet has a lot of really good things, so go in there, use EHUNTR as the code, save you some money, support the channel. Also go to KUIU.com. KUIU, the code is EHUNTR-KUIU. So the line, but I guess that's a dash. EHUNTR-KUIU. That'll save you some money at KUIU. Also help support the channel. So any of those, if you guys would do that, it means so much to me. If you do that, helps me create content and be here for you guys. So hope you guys have a great rest of your day, whatever you're doing today. Hopefully I have a couple more podcasts out before Thanksgiving happens, but if not, happy Thanksgiving to you all. Get that turkey. Hopefully it's a wild turkey fresh from the fields. I need to do that one of these years. So anyways, we'll close this out. Thanks for your support, guys. We'll see you on the next one.